Attorney John Ray may have just ripped a gigantic hole in the side of the Long Island serial killer case coming up in 2026, we believe, when he got a win in the legal pursuit of Dr. Charles Hackett in relation to the disappearance and murder or accidental death, depending on who you believe, of Shannan Gilbert in 2010. Yeah, it's a long time ago. Yeah, officially, prosecutors say that Shannan Gilbert is not related to the Long Island serial killer case, even though during the search for Shannan Gilbert's body, they found the Gilgo 4, which then later led to 10 bodies that they found. And now they're trying a man by the name of Rex Heuermann for 7 murders along Gilgo Beach, Long Island, and he's known as the Long Island serial killer. Now, officially, law enforcement will tell you that Shannan Gilbert was an accidental death, while simultaneously to this day continuing to fight any investigation into her death and the actions of Dr. Charles Hackett that night that she disappeared, because they say that they can't get into it because it's an ongoing investigation. And I have argued many, many times, you cannot have it both ways. It's not an ongoing investigation if it was an accident. So let's watch what happens. This is going to be a fairly lengthy video, but you're going to see some shocking lies. In my opinion, you will see some shocking lies laid out in detail by Attorney John Ray that shows that there's something really shitty going on in Suffolk County. The devil is in the details. Let's get into it. Now, at the heart of this argument is the search for Shannan Gilbert in 2010 when she called 911 from Oak Beach and said that they are trying to kill me. Someone's trying to kill me. And it was multiple people. And for years, John Ray, representing Mary Gilbert, in the quest to find out what happened to her daughter, has been trying to get the 911 tapes, had years at it, and kept getting stymied every step of the way, while telling him and the family that it was an accident, and then blocking him from getting the 911 calls because it was an ongoing investigation. And again, it baffles me how you can have it both ways. I've never got the answer to that. And now we're finally making some inroads, because here it is, freaking forever later. John Ray filed a lawsuit against Dr. Charles Hackett in 2012 because he knew that Dr. Charles Hackett was lying about the things that happened that night in Gilgo Beach when Shannan Gilbert went to his house. Dr. Hackett had told Mary Gilbert, Shannan's mother, that Shannan appeared at his house knocking on his door asking for help, and that he took her in, he medicated her, and sent her on her way, and then she was never to be seen again. Later on, he repeated that a second time to Mary Gilbert about seeing Shannan, taking her in, treating her, and sending her on her way. And yet, then he changed his story and said, I have no idea what you're talking about. I never saw Shannan that night. And basically, that's part and parcel of how John Ray is saying Dr. Hackett knows shit and he's lying, and we can prove he's lying through many different things. And I want to be able to prosecute him for hampering the investigation, because his lies hampered the investigation into this case. Now, John Ray is not saying that Charles Hackett murdered Shannan Gilbert, although I might go as far to say that there's pretty good receipts that it's more than just, it's really, really sketchy. But John Ray's not saying that. All John Ray really is saying, from what I understand from reading the legal documents, and we're going to break that down a little bit today, is that he hampered the investigation, and he wants to go after Charles Hackett about that. In the process of going after Dr. Charles Hackett, it may rip a gigantic hole in the side of this case. So let's talk about the win, and let's cover that as quickly as possible. And then we're going to show you what Suffolk County did in a public announcement, and then we're going to show receipts, what John Ray is saying. What you just said is a lie, and I can prove it's a lie, and we're going to show you. We're going to show you the lie, and we're going to break it down in this video. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be stunning. Stay with it. It's going to take a while to get through the receipts, but it's worth it. All right. So here's the article from Newsday. The estate of Shannan Gilbert associated with the Gilgo Beach homicide investigation can move forward with a lawsuit, court records show. The lawsuit they're talking about is one filed in 2012 by the estate of Shannan Gilbert. That's John Ray on behalf of the estate of Shannan Gilbert against Dr. Charles Hackett. A Suffolk County judge ruled that the estate of Shannan Gilbert, a woman long associated with the Gilgo Beach killings investigation, can move forward with the lawsuit against the Oak Beach doctor she allegedly encountered on the last night she was seen alive in May 2010 near Ocean Parkway. This was dated November 11th, 2025. This is relatively new. This is only a couple weeks ago when this judge has ruled the lawsuit can go forward. The estate can continue to file its lawsuit against the doctor who's lying about what happened that night. He's lying about it. I'm just going to say it. Like, John Ray might be a little bit more careful as an attorney how he's going to say it, but I'm just going to say it. Hackett's lying about it. And he's going to, I feel we're going to prove it. We're going to prove it in the documents. We're going to prove it from what John Ray says. He did a masterful job of laying out for the court, for the judge, why it is. We know they're lying. So it's time. It's finally time to get to the bottom of what happened to Shannan Gilbert. And was it related to Rex Heuermann? Well, we know from another affidavit that John Ray received, and I hope this isn't confusing the piss out of you because it's a long, long story. But there's another affidavit that John Ray has received that Shannan Gilbert had a run-in with Rex Heuermann before. So Rex Heuermann's the alleged killer, which they're saying the disappearance of Shannan is an accident, and it has nothing to do with Rex Heuermann, but she knows Rex Heuermann. We've got an affidavit putting the two of them together. She's had a history with Rex Heuermann. And then she goes missing in 2010 and says that they are trying to kill me. Who was they? Was Rex there that night? We don't know. There's no receipts of that at all. I'm not going to allege that there are receipts, but I will say this. The Suffolk County Police Department has hampered the investigation into the Long Island serial killer for a long time, and their police chief was involved with an attitude of that who gives a shit? It's prostitutes. She'll turn up sometime. Who gives a shit? It's just a prostitute. That's the police chief. And oh my God, that police chief, we've covered it before. I think we might cover it again in the legal documents, is a gigantic problem with engaging in sexual activities with prostitutes himself and doing drugs and all kinds of shit. Unbelievable shit that the chief of police was doing. So no wonder, perhaps, that he dismantled the task force looking into the Long Island serial killer, if indeed, and it seems to be the case, that he himself, the chief of police, had relationships with Rex Heuermann. If that sounds all confusing, I get it. I realize, even as I'm trying to tell you, if you haven't been following the case, you're like, what? Bear with me. This case is off the rails and is only going to get crazier. And this, again, is going to be maybe a one way that this starts to come out. The truth might come out. All right. So we know that Shannan Gilbert's disappearance sparked the discovery of 10 sets of human remains, and now Rex Heuermann's been charged with 7 killings in that serial killer case, and that authorities have since ruled Gilbert's death a tragic accident. Last month, the state Supreme Court Justice Frank Tinari, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, denied a request by Dr. Charles Hackett to dismiss a 2012 lawsuit. Now, this is the part where it gets confusing. In 2012, the estate of Shannan Gilbert filed this lawsuit against Hackett, and it was blocked from going forward. This month, a Supreme Court justice has denied the request for Hackett to dismiss the case. So they're saying it can go forward. That's the huge news. That's the huge news. It can now go forward. John Ray can go after Charles Hackett in relation to lying about what happened to Shannan Gilbert. That's big, big news. Why is mainstream media not all over this? I don't know. I haven't seen shit about it, but we're going to cover it. The judge pointed out to deposition testimony from Gilbert's late mother, Mary, who alleged that Hackett called her 2 days after her daughter's disappearance and told her that he ran a halfway house for wayward girls, and that he gave Shannan medication and tried to help her. Hackett, an emergency medicine physician who, by the way, is connected with law enforcement, denied in an affidavit that he ever had a practice in his home or held himself as someone who treated wayward girls, and he said he never came in contact with Shannan Gilbert, the judge noted. His wife and daughter also stated Hackett, who moved to Florida more than a decade ago, never practiced medicine out of his home, according to the decision. So again, pay attention. Mary Gilbert says Charles Hackett called her himself and said, hey, I saw your daughter. She was in distress. She came in. I treated her medically and sent her on her way, and I don't know what happened to her after that. That was repeated twice to Mary Gilbert. And then later, he lies, and well, who's lying, right? Is Mary Gilbert lying about those phone calls? I don't believe so. But allegedly, he changed his story and said, I don't know what you're talking about. I never treated Shannan Gilbert. I didn't see her. I don't know what you're talking about. It's a non-story. We're going to prove this whole story stinks to high heaven. That's what John Ray is going after. Is like, I know you're lying about what happened that night, and so we have to get to the bottom of it, because your lies hampered the investigation and has led it to be ruled as a accident when there's tomfoolery. about. All right. The deposition testimony of Mary Gilbert raises issues of fact as to whether he had any contact with Shannan, whether he rendered medical treatment to her, and or whether he administered any medication to her, Tenaria wrote. The conflicting evidence in this regard and the contrasting accounts of the telephone call between Mary Gilbert and Dr. Hackett present issues of credibility which must be determined by the trier of fact. This sounds to me like the judge knows about the phone call between Mary Gilbert and Charles Hackett, Dr. Hackett, where he says, I told her that I treated her daughter. So he's like, if that's the case, then you've got some credibility issues. And so therefore, again, John Ray can say, let's get to the bottom of why you told Mary Gilbert one thing and you told law enforcement another thing. The judge additionally determined an affidavit from Hackett's former Oak Beach neighbor, Bruce Anderson, who also gave him a similar account of the alleged interactions with Shannan Gilbert and told him that she left his house confused, also raised an issue of fact. So again, not only did Mary Gilbert know that Charles Hackett had called her and said, I treated your daughter, but a neighbor also, Bruce Anderson, said, yeah, I heard the same story, that Charles Hackett, Dr. Hackett, treated Shannan that night. And yet the story changed. And so therefore, there's a problem. There's a confusion over the statements of fact. We won. This is a statement from John Ray. We won this very important decision, says Miller Place attorney John Ray, who filed the lawsuit on behalf of Mary Gilbert and her daughter's estate in November of 2012. Why are we just now getting this to move forward? We were putting in a case on circumstantial evidence alone, and those are difficult cases to survive summary judgment. So he admits we had a lot of circumstantial evidence. It's our word against this man's word, but we finally moved. We're going to move forward with it. The lawsuit seeks to recover damages of personal injury for Gilbert, whose remains were discovered near Oak Beach in December 2011. The suit alleges that Hackett thwarted efforts to find Gilbert following her disappearance and claims emotional distress suffered by her mother. It alleges medical malpractice and gross negligence on the part of Hackett. Earlier claims of wrongful death and intentional pain and suffering were dismissed by a previous judge in 2013. Let's break this down. At heart seems to be John Ray is saying, one, Hackett's lies, and we're going to show receipts. There's some great receipts coming. Hackett's lies about not having treated her, which were a lie, hampered the investigation because law enforcement just bought that bullshit that he was telling. It was a lie. And so it hampered the investigation. On top of that, remember, John Ray told us the police brought Mary Gilbert to the house of Charles Hackett, and stuck her on top of his roof to say that's where your daughter's body was found, causing emotional distress. It made her a wreck. So that's part of the argument, I think. Now, I don't know for sure, but that's part of the argument that it caused extreme emotional distress on behalf of the mother of Shannan Gilbert to know that she suspects Dr. Hackett and the death of her daughter, and they're going to literally take her to his house to say, hey, yeah, look from his roof. That's where your daughter's body was found. It's like fuckery. In my opinion, pardon the French. You know what? I'm going to put that on screen. Parental advisory. Yeah. Parental consent is advised. I don't know. It's a warning. I drop F-bombs, and when I drop a couple of them, I remind myself to put it on. All right. Mary Gilbert was killed by another of her daughters in 2016. A third daughter, Sherry Gilbert, an administrator of the two women's estates, is named as plaintiff of the lawsuit. Yeah, that's a super strange thing. Mary Gilbert was killed by one of her own daughters, but John Ray still represents the estate of Shannan Gilbert, and that's what's going on. There's still a Sherry Gilbert who's working with John Ray. That story is a story in itself, not related directly to the Long Island serial killer case. So we'll put that on hold. Hackett was questioned by Suffolk County detectives in 2010 in connection with the disappearance of Gilbert, a 24-year-old Jersey City escort who was last seen May 10 running from a client's beach house nearby. The lawsuit has served as a fact-finding mission for Ray, who has vowed to get to the bottom of what happened to Gilbert, as police say the investigation remains active. He says his efforts have extended to learning about other Gilgo Beach cases, including the investigation into Heerman. So John Ray in this case has been like a pit bull with the single mission to find out what really happened to Shannan Gilbert. And in the commission of that investigation, he's become an investigator, he'll say on here. Yeah, right here. I've become an investigator as well as an attorney on the case, in broad terms, said Ray, who added that his office has put in over 30,000 hours into the case dating back beyond the initial filing 13 years ago. Ray said he does not believe that Hackett killed Gilbert, but does aim to prove that she was in his house and he medicated her and then she left. Part of that lawsuit is also going to, it looks like, try to go after Charles Hackett for medical malpractice because he wasn't supposed to be practicing medicine out of his house and was. So medical malpractice, we're going to go after him for, emotional distress on the family, and hampering an investigation. Those are big things. And in doing so, he's going to rip a giant hole in the ass of this case, in my opinion, because I think who he's really connected with is a way bigger story. Are you confused yet? I hope not. I try to explain these things in simple terms, but it's a lot. There's a lot of meat on this. And we're already 15 minutes in, and I got a lot to show you. Attorney James O'Rourke of Smithtown, who represents Hackett, did not respond to the request for comment. Ray is now focused on an effort to subpoena Suffolk County Police for the full homicide investigation records regarding Gilbert's death. Teneri rejected an initial request for the file in April after police argued that it would interfere with their investigation. Now, this is the heart of the legal document we're going to break down. We're going to break down a legal document. We're going to break down a press release given by Suffolk County Police Department. And we're going to look at an old video of a neighbor who claims to have seen Shannan Gilbert, and we're going to watch all the lies. We're going to watch the lies for yourself. It's a short clip, 7 minutes or so, maybe even less, of a man lying his ass off about what happened that night, and we're going to prove it. We're going to show the legal document where it's proved, and we're going to also show, believe it or not, the actual 911 call that happened that night that had been blocked forever. And you're going to see how Suffolk County Police Department lied about the 911 call, lied about the events and the conditions in which Shannan Gilbert went disappeared. John Ray has laid it out in detail. You lied about a whole bunch of shit. You misled a bunch of stuff. You misrepresented it, and you're leading the public into believing Shannan Gilbert was an accident. She was not an accident. She was murdered. Now, the cause of Mrs. Gilbert's death is presently undetermined, according to homicide detective Lieutenant Kevin Byer, wrote in a September 2024 affidavit opposing the release of the files. So John Ray is trying to get the release of the police files, the records, everything related to the investigation. Who was queried? Who was talked to? What neighbors were asked questions? I want to see all of your reports, is essentially what John Ray is going after. And they're like, nope, you can't do that because it's an ongoing investigation. The death is undetermined, yet they have publicly stated over and over again, Shannan Gilbert died as an accident. You're going to hear that again on our video today when they made a public relation. Hey, she died as an accident. If it's an accident, then why is it an ongoing investigation? I have to beat the dead horse because even John Ray will have to beat the dead horse. We have to get a judge to freaking listen to the horse is dead, man. Make a ruling on this shit. All right. No arrests have been made in this investigation. As such, the SCPD, the Suffolk County Police Department, has a critical interest in preserving the confidentiality of this active investigation. Tell me, for fuck's sake, how it's an I'm sorry for the F-bombs. Tell me how it's an active investigation if it was an accident, and you keep telling us it's an accident. It's an accident, then it's an accident. There's no active investigation into an accident. John Ray makes that point. Let's hope to freaking high heaven that people will listen, that a judge will listen. Teneri's April decision to block the release of the file allows Ray to renew his request, which he intends to do so in the coming days. That's what we're going to read. That's what we're going to read. The new legal filing. It's really good. It's written really well. In fact, John Ray uses words that are above my head, and I've got a pretty good vocabulary. Gosh darn it, man. I'm going to have to get educated on this guy. Anyways. The police department held a news conference on May 13th, 2022, and Byer and former police commissioner Rodney Harrison announced that Shannan died of a tragic accident, Ray said. So we said, if that's the case, then it's no longer a criminal case. By definition, we want your file. Listen, John Ray's making this a freaking logical conclusion. If it's an accident, and you're going to keep telling us it's an accident, then it is not an ongoing investigation. Release the frickin' files. I have now been granted the right to go and pursue a lawsuit against Dr. Charles Hackett. In order to pursue Dr. Charles Hackett, I need to see the discovery. I need to see the actual investigation, and they're still trying to block him from doing so. Now here's what's changed. John Ray's been granted the ability to go after Charles Hackett for hampering that investigation. Now that he's done so, he's got a real good footing to say, hey, as an attorney, if I'm going to go after this guy, I have to see what they actually knew. And you can't hide behind it was an accident. Am I making this clear? I think we're making it clear. The police department previously released 911 recordings, photographs, and notes from the Suffolk County Medical Examiner's Office that were deemed relevant to the case. Now, we're going to get done with this article, and we're going to move on to some actual video footage, and we're going to get into those big receipts we talked about, and then we're going to look into the legal document that John Ray filed. I think it's November 18th. 2025, so very, very recently. We're going to get into that legal. It's an 18-page, 19-page document. We're only going to read some select sections that just really lay it out. It spells it out. You lied. And a shocking affidavit from the producer of 48 Hours. Ever heard of that TV show? Who also is saying, yeah, they're lying. Suffolk County Police Department is lying. I'm going to go on the record for John Ray with an affidavit that as a producer of 48 Hours, I saw the lie myself. And I'm going to put it on record. It's awesome. All right, pay attention. All right, so let's pull up now to the stage.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for being here. Before we begin, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge and extend my sincerest condolences to the Gilbert family, who have endured so much over these last 12 years.
Now, I think this is the commissioner. I was looking for his name again because it's funny how many names I do know, and then I was like, all of a sudden I'm blanking on his name. Anyways, I think this is the commissioner, and we're going to see a clip. What they're going to do in this video. This is a formal announcement that was made and a press release, and what you're going to see is they're going to release portions of the 911 call finally from Shannan Gilbert's disappearance. Now, listen. For years, they blocked John Ray from getting that information on the 911 call. When they finally gave it to him after years of fighting for it, they gave it to him and said, only you can listen to it, essentially. So it didn't get made public. Only recently did the file get made public to people because it was given to John Ray and was like, hey, you can have it as a representative of the family, but it's not for public dissemination, right? That's the way I understood it. But now they're coming out and saying, okay, we're going to make it public. But when they did, here's the great part. John Ray has the original 911 call, and now we get to see what they did to the 911 call. And guess what you get to see? They're lying and omitting things so that it looks to support their narrative. And John Ray's going to call them out. I got the freaking 911 call in its entirety. Watch how it differs from what you just told the media that it says. I've got the actual file. I got it a while ago. So he's going to call their ass on the carpet, and it's a beautiful thing. All right, let's go. Now I'm going to skip forward to, basically says, hey, we're going to show the call. Then we have, let's just see if we can get a little clip of this guy. It's bad video footage because as you can see, they literally rolled down a projector during this press conference. And let's see, can I? Oh, it's pretty much full screen. So they rolled down a projector and then they're projecting it in a brightly lit room. Please be advised, some of the following content may not be suitable for young and sensitive viewers. They're going to play the 911 call. Now, I want to say before you get into this 911 call, several things are going to be happening here, and we're going to prove it with receipts later. One, they're going to admit to you, or they did admit to you. I think I didn't play that part for you. They admit to you that they're truncating this call. The 911 call was 23 minutes long. They're truncating the call because large portions of it, they said, were irrelevant, large gaps of nothing going on. So they've cut out large sections to shorten the timeline. That's not all they did. They cut out other sections, and you should have known that. You should have known that. As soon as they tell you that they're going to cut out sections, it's not just empty gaps of space. They're cutting out shit that doesn't support the narrative, and they're only playing that part. So the receipts will come with the full 911 call. But we're going to watch some of the shortened 911 call. And they're going to overlay text on the screen to tell us what's being said. John Ray is going to make an announcement in his legal filing that we're going to look at that they lied about the overlay, that they put words on screen that Shannan Gilbert never said. So that's a problem. And on top of that, they lied about several things in this video. So let's watch this clip here.
I'm Detective Lieutenant Kevin Byron, the commanding officer of the Suffolk County Police Homicide Section.
So that's Detective Byer, I think, is what he said?
This video was made to explain the circumstances surrounding the 3 911 calls made on the day Shannan Gilbert went missing.
Now, I know it's hard to hear. I get it. It's hard to hear. I'm hoping, is there anything I can do to increase the volume? I'm gonna pump this up. Nope, that's the wrong file. I don't know that I can pump it. It's on full volume. Okay, so there's 3 911 calls is what he's saying. The first call is Shannan Gilbert calling 911 saying that somebody's trying to kill me. They're going to harm me. She's making that statement. I will admit, the call sounds weird. Shannan Gilbert is in a weird state. Is there drugs involved? Maybe, because she says the same thing over and over again in the same exact way over and over again, and it sounds strange. So I'll caveat that. But listen to the distress and the discussions going on in the background around her, and we're going to listen to some key things. I may stop the video several times to comment on things that I'm hearing and I think are noteworthy. So let's go through this.
The full, unedited 911 calls are available, and I encourage people to listen to them in their entirety. Portions of the call taken out of context will sound sensational.
So he actually encourages you to listen to the actual call in its entirety. So great, we're going to do that. Well, let me caveat that. We're not going to do it because the 911 call is 23 minutes and I'm already 26 minutes into this video. We're not going to do a 2-hour video. So maybe I'll host the actual 911 call in its entirety on my website. We are going to play the impertinent parts for now.
Early morning hours of May 1st, 2010, Shannan Gilbert, a Craigslist sex worker and resident of Jersey City, New Jersey, traveled from Manhattan to meet a client, Joseph Brewer, at his home at 8th and Fairway, Oak Beach, New York. Shannan was driven to Oak Beach from Manhattan by her driver, Michael Pack. Neither one was familiar with the area.
All right, so again, you're going to hear things on this call about Michael Pack, the driver that drove Shannan Gilbert to a house, a John's house, if you will, Brewer, and so that's what's going on. She's a Jersey call girl from Craigslist, they're saying, who came out by a driver named Michael Pack to a job, to a John, if you will, Brewer at his house in Oak Beach. Things went awry, and she called 911 in a panic. She talks a lot in this 911 call about Mike, who I believe is Michael Pack, her driver. And so let's pay attention to this.
Neither one had been there before, and neither one had met Brewer before.
So he states, by the way, that they've never been there before. Shannan Gilbert's never been to this house before. Michael Pack's never been out to this house before. They've never been out to Oak Beach before. Is kind of what they're saying. That this is a new area for them. Where that's in question whether they've been out before. So just put that aside for the minute. It's not the important part of this video today.
Pack waited in the car while Shannan was inside of the Brewer. Pack was her de facto security.
So Pack stays in the car while Shannon's in the house with Brewer, is what he's saying. So we're going to continue on.
At 4:51 a.m., while at Brewer's house, Shannan called 911. This call lasted more than 21 minutes. At times, Shannan is speaking calmly, but slurring her words. At times, she is not responsive, and at times, she is screaming.
All right, so let me set the narrative they're trying to tell you. Shannan is speaking in such a way that it indicates that she's on drugs, and she doesn't make sense. Sometimes she's very calm, sometimes she's screaming, and therefore their allegation is she was just having some kind of episode. There was no danger, despite the fact that Shannan Gilbert will repeatedly tell you that somebody's trying to kill her and screams, and there's a struggle multiple times, one of which I feel they obfuscate in this 911 call. They're going to ignore all that and say, hey, you know what? This just sounds like somebody who's on drugs. There's nothing to see here. She's not in distress. They have determined this is why they blocked the 911 call for forever. There's nothing to see here. No one was on distress in the 911 call. Shannan Gilbert's not on distress on this call. None of the gentlemen that are heard in the background are on distress. There's nothing to indicate anything's really happening other than Shannan seems to be having some kind of episode and freaking out. It's a no, never mind. And then she went in some kind of drug-induced haze or whatever and got disoriented and drowned in this marsh, and that's the official story.
During this call, Brewer and Pack are heard trying to get Shannan to leave the house.
So Brewer and Pack are going to be heard on the 911 call trying to get Shannan to leave the house, is what he's saying.
Shannan eventually does leave the house and runs to Gus Clay's house, located at 17 The Fairway, which causes him to call 911.
And so what he's saying is she then does leave the house, and she ends up going down the street a very short distance and knocks on the door of Gus Coletti's house. We're going to watch lies of great proportion on Gus Coletti's actual press conference to the news. We're going to watch Gus Coletti say what happened that night. It is a lie. It doesn't match what's on the 911 call. It doesn't match many things that we know. It does not match Gus Coletti's own statement to the press on the press release. That's what John Ray is going to call out. Watch what happened on the 911 call. Watch what he said to the press, and then listen to it all together and realize Gus Coletti lied about a whole bunch of shit. It didn't happen the way he said. Therefore, ergo, let's use a big word, we need to investigate what really happened that night because people are lying. Oh, and by the way, Gus Coletti happens to be best friends with Dr. Charles Hackett. Yeah, he says that on the video. All right, let's go.
At 5:22 a.m.
Yeah, there's somebody after me. I'm sorry? There's somebody after me. Where are you? There's somebody after me. Okay, where are you? There's somebody after me. Where are you, ma'am? I don't know. You're driving right now? No, I'm inside the house. I'm sorry? I'm inside the house. What house? I don't know. Can you check where I am? I'm sorry? Can you check where I am? No, I can't. What's your callback number you're calling from? Huh? What phone number are you calling from? Somebody's after me.
So I understand that sounds very strange from Shannan Gilbert. There's somebody after me. There's somebody after me. There's somebody after me. She says it exactly the same way over and over again. That part sounds odd to me. But listen, what are the words? There is somebody after me. She's going to claim at some point that they're trying to kill me. There's going to be a struggle. You're going to hear what sounds like a fairly violent struggle. You're going to hear her tell him no, 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 multiple times. So regardless of how she sounds to you, the words literally are, somebody is after me. They're trying to kill me. No, what are you doing? All kinds of protest. And yet they will tell you there's nothing on that call that indicates anything's wrong with Shannan Gilbert. She's just having a weird episode.
Are you in Suffolk County or Nassau County? I'm in Long Island. Where on Long Island are you?
So again, to their argument, she's calm. Hey, there's somebody after me. They're trying, somebody's after me. Can you just come get me? Whatever. She seems very calm. And they're going to use that to say Shannan Gilbert was calm. There's no distress in her voice. There's no distress at all. You hear in the background Joseph Brewer. That's what they've identified on the voice. He wants to talk to you. The guys want to talk to you. There's more than one person there. There's a group of people. Shannan Gilbert says they are trying to kill me. There's more than one person. Okay, pay attention.
Where in Long Island are you? In Suffolk County? Nassau County? Huh? Hi. Why you call me by my name?
That part to me is odd. Shannan Gilbert says, why are you calling me by my name? Now, this is what I imagine is happening in my interpretation. Shannan is a call girl. Maybe she goes by an assumed name. Michael Pack is her driver. Michael Pack apparently is calling her by, I'm guessing, by her real name. And she's asking, why are you calling me by my name? Now, why is that important? To me, it's important because we're establishing the fact that maybe they don't give a shit anymore about Shannan Gilbert's identity being revealed. It doesn't matter if they're giving up her real name because maybe Shannan Gilbert is in big shit. Maybe she's in deep shit. And she wants multiple times, she will ask, why you keep using my name? Why are you using my real name? That should, in my mind, that's a red flag. maybe it's not. Maybe there's another explanation. But whatever it is, Shannan Gilbert is wondering, why are you using my name? So what should he be using? Some kind of fake name? Why is that happening? Okay, let's continue.
Why? Can you and why not? Please, stop it, please. Please stop. Please, can you turn it off?
So what you hear, there are multiple men's voices. Shannan is repeatedly saying, stop, stop, no, stop. They want her to go outside. She won't go outside. She's asking them to leave her alone. They continue to persist. She wants to know why they're using her name. They're going to argue. There's no distress in this entire conversation.
Please. Please. No, please. Please. Why?
So here they've truncated the 911 call. Brew and Pratt continue to try to convince her to leave the premises. So they're cutting stuff out. Or at least it could be that they're cutting stuff out. I'm trying to remember the actual call. We'll get to it in a minute here. So again, Shannan is asking, what are you going to do to me? Are you going to kill me? That's what she's asking now. You're going to kill me?
Please stop. No, stop it, please.
All right. So, and again, they're going to argue. There's no distress in her voice. She's very calm. She's just on some kind of drugs, despite the words. Are you going to kill me? You're going to take me out in the middle of nowhere? Why are you doing this? Why are you going to kill me? Why are you using my name? I don't want to go. Stop. Leave me alone. She's calling 911 for help. That's apparently something we all supposed to ignore. Let's go on. So,
Hello? Please. What's the problem? What's the matter? What happened? Hello? Please, get me out of here, please. Hello? You're being sarcastic about this. You're part of this all along.
that's important. Shannan Gilbert's asking her driver to get her out of there, and now she's accusing you were a part of this all along. A part of what? Something's gone wrong inside this house, and Shannon's afraid of what's going to happen. She's afraid that someone's going to kill her, and she's saying her driver was in on it all along. Is this paranoid drug delusion or murder eventually?
Shannan then ran from Brewer's house at 8 the Fairway to Gus Coletti's house at 17 the Fairway, a distance of 0.2 of a mile.
So we're going to get into Gus Coletti's house now. So she runs down the street to Gus Coletti's house. Gus Coletti will be best friends, I think is how he describes it on the video that we're going to watch, of Dr. Hackett. Dr. Hackett is the one that we're going after in this case to say, you lied, you hampered the investigation about what happened that night, and that is raising a serious alarm bells. Where she died and how she died is not an accident. There's indications that there was an autopsy performed after they ruled it an accident that showed that she didn't drown, as they said, that the hyoid bone in the neck had been broken, consistent with being strangulation, like many of the victims of the Gilgo 4 that had the same kind of injuries. So again, not saying that she was a victim of the Gilgo killer or the Rex Heuermann or whatever, but she was strangled, and that's what a world famous pathologist, I think is what you call it, Baden came in and said. He's world renowned at what his job, and said, yeah, there's evidence this was murder, this was strangulation. It was not, and furthermore, there's not evidence that she drowned, despite the fact that you keep telling everybody for years she drowned in the marsh. There's no indication of that in her body, but there is indication she was strangled and killed. That was Shannan Gilbert screaming. Very, very vocal, horrific sounding screams, which they will indicate there's no distress on this call. There's no distress on this call. Shannan is calm. They did say at the very beginning, by the way, you're going to hear her calm at times, screaming at times, which they're chalking up as she's just on drugs. So simultaneously telling you there's no distress in the call, even though she's repeatedly said, you're going to try to kill me. You're going to take me out in the middle of nowhere. You set this up. You're in on this whole deal. Why are you going to kill me? Why are you using my name? Then screaming. And they will tell you there was nothing going on in that 911 call. There's no signs of distress whatsoever.
Shannan interacts with Coletti. He invites her inside his home.
Now, this is important to listen to. This part is important to listen to. Shannan is on the phone with 911. She knocks on the door of Gus Coletti. Gus Coletti is going to give an account of what happened right here. It does not match what you're going to hear at all. It's a lie.
Hello? Hello? Don't keep sorry. What are you doing?
All right, stop. What you're going to hear Gus Coletti tell you in a little bit when we watch his clip to the press is that Shannan Gilbert knocked on his door in a panic, came into his house. He then called 911 to report that she was in his house and that she was distressed. And then he informed her that 911 or police were on the way. And then she panicked and ran. None of that shit is even remotely true to what you just heard. None of it. He said she came into his house. There's no indication that she came into the house. There's no indication at all that he called 911. There's no audible on there saying that he told her, I've called 911. All that happens, he said, is somebody after you? What are you doing? Where are you going? And that's it. She takes off again. John Ray will allege she recognized Gus Coletti potentially, or someone with Gus Coletti potentially, and took off, realized it wasn't safe to be there and took off. It is not, as he said, I brought her into my house, I called 911, I told her police were on the way, and then she ran. Fuck that. That's a flat out lie. Pardon the French. That's why we have parental advisory on it. That's not what happened. You will see what he says happened did not match what you just heard.
She then runs from Coletti's home, prompting Coletti to call 911.
And what's funny is this guy will say, this detective will say, she ran from his home prompting him to call 911. So they're admitting right here, Gus Coletti didn't call 911 until she already ran from his house. When you listen to him give his story, he will say, she came in, I called 911. Then when she heard police were on the way, she took off, which that's a lie. One of them's lying. And I would say that it has to be Gus Coletti because it doesn't match what you just heard here.
After Coletti's call, Shannan then runs another 0.2 miles to another home at 43 The Bayou, prompting a third 911 call made at 5:30 a.m. by Barbara Brennan.
Please say something location of emergency. Yes, this Livell Beach in the association. There's a young girl about 14 years old running around here screaming, and there's some guy trying to follow her.
Okay, so stop. This is the call from Gus Coletti about what happened. She's already left. This is nothing about she's in my house and and she's distressed. No, she's already left. And he's saying there's a woman running around about 14 years old. We'll get to that in a second, and screaming that some guy's trying to follow her. That's the driver, Michael Pack, we believe. But the point being is that he's admitting Shannan Gilbert's screaming. She's in a panic, and he's going to say later on, hey, she came in and called 911 for her, and then she took off. Now, the part about the 14-year-old girl, here's the thing. At the time, I believe Shannan Gilbert was 24 years old, not 14. Maybe she was 23. So she was in her 20s. Yes, she was petite, young looking. So maybe this older gentleman thought that she looked, because he's older gentleman at the time that she came to his house. Maybe all 23-year-old women look like children to him and look like 14-year-olds. But so I'm not saying that I suspect it wasn't Shannan Gilbert. I do think it was Shannan Gilbert, but being young and petite, he may have viewed her as younger than she is and thinks that she's a 14-year-old girl.
The girl is about 14 years old, got blonde hair, very small. The boy, I can't tell, he was into like a Suburban, black.
So they're saying Michael Pack, her driver, was operating a black SUV. So he seems to be corroborating this is the driver that's following her. And they're redacting his phone number that he reads.
They just went past the gatehouse where the entrance is. What's the name of the complex? It's a Oak Beach Association. Okay. Hired by Robert Moses. All right. We got somebody with him. I'll be watching. Okay.
Now I want to show you if you can see my mouse. Can you see my mouse? I don't know. Up in the upper corner, I feel like you can't see the mouse. Anyways, up at the upper corner, he says they went past the gateway and they highlighted it for a minute. That's the opposite direction of the water that's down below. He'll later say that she ran to the water and she drowned. That's one of the things that really disturbs me the most about this whole thing is when Gus Coletti says, oh yeah, she went into the water and she drowned. No, she wasn't found near the water. She was found in brush a long ways away from the water. So that also raises major red flags in my opinion. So here comes another call, 911.
875. What is the location of your emergency? 43 The Bayou. Some woman is knocking at my door.
So you can hear on this woman, Barbara Brennan's call, Shannan knocking frantically on her door as she's calling 911. She's not going to let this strange woman into her house, but you hear the recording of Shannan knocking on the door, panicked.
Oak Beach Association. What's the nearest corner street now? Ocean Parkway. She said she's in danger. Do you know her or no? No, I don't. I'm not letting her in. She's been in on your door now? Yes. Did you say what kind of danger? No. Oh. And we live in a gated community. What's your name then? Barbara Brennan. What's there a name to that community? Oak Beach Association. Oak Beach Association. And I have an elderly mother here. All right, I'll get somebody right over there, okay? Okay, thank you. You're welcome.
This is drone footage and footage shot from the ground shown in marshland. It was taken at the same time of year and time of day as when Shannan went missing.
Now, what what is important is, John, we're going to read it. We're going to read the legal document because I want you to see it in the right. But look at that footage. It's very, very dark. So they're showing what looks like a nighttime scene going through marsh that's super tall. They got the camera down low, making it look like you can't see anything. You're just in marsh at night. And they say this was shot at the same time of year and same time of day as when Shannan went missing. John Ray will show and prove with actual documents about when sunrise was and what it looks like and what the time of year was, that it was actually sunlight out. It was daylight. This was not nighttime. So when they tell you this was shot at the same time of day and the same time of year as when Shannan disappeared, they're manipulating the video footage. And that's what's going to be reported as well. I think in addition by 48 Hours, the producer of 48 Hours, who went out there on the scene and said, yeah, they manipulated that video footage. They made it look like it was dark and impossible to see, and she just got lost in the weeds, when in fact it was bright, it was sun, there was daylight, and it did not look like what while they're telling you this is what it looked like to Shannan Gilbert. No, it did not. That's a lie. We've got somebody on affidavit saying, I was there at that time of day. I know that's a lie. It's not what it looked like at that time of year, at that time in the morning. It was bright, but they're manipulating the camera footage to support their narrative that she got lost in the brush at night.
These reeds can grow over 12 feet tall. They can disorient someone inside them, causing them to lose a sense of direction. One cannot tell where the highway is or where the bay is. The reeds and brush can become impenetrable in places. There's a trench running east and west through the marshland. This was created to allow mosquito control. It is believed that Shannan followed this trench. Personal belongings of hers were found just north of the trench. Shannan's remains were found north of the trench, about 158 feet south of Ocean Parkway.
So if you look on this map, there's a square that shows where, and you can't see it on the screen because it's probably too small, where her clothes were found. And then way up on the far leading right side of the screen is where her body was found. Again, Gus Coletti will say she went to the water and she drowned. He's almost certain of it, that that's what happened. She went to the water and she drowned. You're never going to find her body. She is upland. She is up in the marsh by the road, way up there, completely the opposite direction of where Gus Coletti says that she's going to be, and also says Gus Coletti is certain you're never going to find her body. Never going to find her body. Well, yeah, of course. If you're telling her to look in the water and she's up in the upland, maybe you don't think they're going to find her body. But we'll put that aside for a minute.
Approximately 3/4 of a mile from where she was last seen. There has been information received during the course of this investigation that other people might be involved in this incident. They have all been investigated, and there is no reason to believe at this time that anyone else is involved in this tragic series of events.
Now, I'm going to cry horseshit. They say, hey, look, there's been some people who made some other allegations that other people are involved in the murder or disappearance of Shannan Gilbert, and we've investigated it fully. Horseshit. You didn't. That's just me. John Ray doesn't have to say it. Horseshit. I don't think you investigated it properly, but let's go on.
The police responded to Coletti and Brendan's 911 calls. Pack, Brewer, and Shannan were all gone.
All right. I don't think we need to watch any more of this video. We're going to take that off screen. I want to now play for you Coletti's interview with the press. So this is the individual who is going to tell you his account of what happened. This is shot, I believe, while searchers are out looking for Shannan Gilbert's body. And so they're talking to Gus Coletti about the last time he saw Shannan Gilbert, the interaction, as they're looking for her body. And they ask him the question, do you think we're going to find Shannan Gilbert today or whatever? And he's like, no, you're not going to find her body. Now listen carefully to what's said. This is kind of shocking stuff. Keep in mind what you heard on the 911 call about how she didn't even come in. She just took off, and he's like, where are you going? Calls it in. Hey, this lady came. She's distressed. She took off running. Now watch what he says.
Coletti, C-O-L-E-T-T-I. I live at Oak Beach. And
what do you think about today's search?
Today's conference, I think it's an act to try to keep everybody happy and informed about what's happening, which is nothing.
You believe they're going to find Shannan Gilbert?
No, I don't think they will. I believe she's in the water. I don't believe that she's part of this search and recovery at all.
You were one of the last people to see Shannan. She knocked on your door. What are your feelings on that? Do you feel you could have done something else, or wish you did something else?
Oh, I wish I did. As I've said before, normally you know, my house is the first house as you come into the association. So normally the people come knock on my door. I keep gas in my garage just for people that run out of gas during the week. And normally I help somebody. It just happened that morning that she knocked on my door. My wife and I were going to a car show up in Rhinebeck, New York, and we were getting ready to leave. So when she knocked on my door and was screaming for help, first thing I thought to do was to pick up the phone and call 911, which I did. When I informed her I called the police, they were on their way. She panicked and ran down the steps and was looking for some place to hide.
That, my friend, I don't know how to say it. In my personal opinion, you're a fucking liar. That's not, I'm just going to call it liar. The 911 call has no indication Shannan Gilbert came into the house, that he then called 911, and that he informed her that police were on the way, and then she ran down the steps of his house and out the door. That is not what just happened on the 911 call. You heard it yourself. She never came into the house. He never informed her he called 911. She left, and after she took off, he called 911 to say, hey, this lady came up to the door screaming. So why is he lying his ass off? He's lying his ass off. It did not happen the way he just said it did. So one has to ask why. It's not consistent with the 911 call. Did law enforcement follow up on the inconsistency between this man's discussion of what happened with Shannan Gilbert and the actual 911 call that they had in their possession? No. One has to ask why.
And the rest is history, as you know. She ran around the gatehouse and ran down towards the water, and that was the last we've seen of her. I went to the gatehouse and stood there and waited for the police to come, and I let them in and showed them what direction that she ran in. And that was the last time I saw her.
Now, to be fair, Gus Coletti says she went to the gatehouse and then ran down towards the water, and that is where another house was at. So in that part, I can grant him she was running towards the water, because that's another place that she called from, a house down there closer to the water's edge. However, her body was found basically east of where the gatehouse is, not down by the water. So again, they'll say she entered the marsh somewhere, wandered around the marsh, and then died of natural causes. But continue to listen to some of the sketchy things that I think he says.
Could I have done something? Yeah, normally I would have sat her down and tried to help her, but when she was screaming for help and she was a little unstable on her feet, I said it was time for me to call the police and make sure, let them do their job.
The fact that this investigation started with your encounter, what's going through your mind now?
I wish I didn't answer the door.
You're not serious.
I'm not sure. I'm not. Yeah.
No.
Even I want to play that again. Like even the reporter's like, you're not serious. Why is it funny that he wished he hadn't answered the door? First of all, his story, he doubles down on the I called police after she came in because she was unstable, which is bullshit. But anyways, let's continue it again. What he says. Oh, here we go. Let's go back to that comment.
This investigation started with your encounter. What's going through your mind now?
I wish I didn't answer the door.
You're not serious about that?
No.
Okay. But what's going? I mean, it started with you, and here they are. They still haven't been able to find the person you saw.
Well, they got a slow start. You have to realize they went from May 1st until the middle of August before they showed up at the police department. And at that time, it was only a missing persons detective that said that just came over to teletype and they were looking for her. That was 4 months later. But from the time that she knocked on my door until then, nothing that I know of was done.
So again, months go by. Nobody's canvassing the area. Nobody's asking what they did. He's admitting that. Nobody came around asking any questions about the disappearance of Shannan Gilbert. Nothing happened for months.
So what do you think's going on? Do you think the police are missing something?
Oh, I don't know. I'm sure they're trying. Somewhere in the transition between New Jersey notifying them out here and them actually pursuing the investigation took 4 months.
New Jersey?
Well, allegedly, originally, missing person report had to be filed in Jersey, where she came from.
It's interesting to know, whether he got that information. How did he know that she was from Jersey? Is he following the news story? I don't know. It's just interesting. Oh, she's from Jersey. And even the reporter is kind of like, oh, she's from Jersey? Well, the initial report came from the missing persons from Jersey. Did he already know she was from Jersey? I don't know. Maybe not.
And it wasn't done.
But they're out here, they're searching, and they're through helicopters, going through the underbrush, all of this stuff. They come up with very, very little lately. I mean, what do you make of that?
Well, if they're looking for Gilbert, they're not going to find her. I think she's in the water. That's my opinion. I know where the last place she was seen, and that was by the water. I also know that she didn't know how to swim. She was from upstate. And I know what the inlet is like. A good swimmer can't make it in there when the tide changes. So if she fell in the water or was chased and she ran into the water, she's gone.
But most people end up in the water, end up on land at some point.
Somewheres they wash up. And usually 24 hours later, when the body fills up with gas, they come to the top.
All right. And?
I'm familiar with that. But nobody looked for her then. Nobody even gave that a thought.
First and last name, please. Your first and last name.
So it's interesting. Coletti is certain that she drowned, that she's just that's what happened. She just drowned. I know that's where she went. And he knows somehow that she's not a good swimmer. How much research has Coletti done into her to know that she's from Jersey and that she's not a good swimmer? I have to wonder these things. But anyways, we'll continue on.
My first and last name is Gus Coletti, Coletti.
What are your thoughts on the 1-year anniversary of this? It's been exactly almost a year since they found remains, and they're back out again today.
Do I think they're going to find? I don't think. First off, I disagree with the commissioner of police. I think it's 2 people. They're going to find 2.
Now, I want to stop right there because that's a huge thing right there in itself. I have said from the beginning, one of the reasons why I'm interested in the Long Island serial killer case is I don't think this is 1 killer. I think it's 2 killers at least. And so they're just going to take the easy road out and basically pin all the murders on Rex Heuermann because they want to solve cold cases. And there's an indication to basically blame any unsolved cases that they can on him and just put a nice tidy bow on it. I think it's 2 killers. This is what that guy is saying. He's saying Shannan Gilbert's not related to the Long Island Beach serial killers. She's not going to be one of his victims, and you're not going to find her. That's one thing he says. And I think when you find out what is with the killer, it's going to be more than 1 killer. The commissioner is wrong. It's not just 1 killer. It's going to be 2 killers, is what he's saying, which I find super interesting. But we'll put that aside.
I don't think that Shannan Gilbert had anything to do with what the bodies they found here. That's just my opinion. I'm not an expert, trust me.
In your role, you called 911. You were.
Yes, I did.
Can you just describe to us? I think most people know here, but what your role in this was? You called.
She was pounding on my door, yelling for help. Help me, help me, help me. I came to the door, I opened the door, and she stepped in. And she just stood there yelling, help me, and she had trouble standing on her feet. She was a little.
So he's tripling down on the bullshit story. She stepped into his house and kept yelling, help me. There was no conversation of yelling, help me, when she was on 911 with them. We heard what happened. She was not. You can't tell whether she stepped into his house or not. That's not clear from the audio, but she's not yelling, help me, help me. And he certainly didn't go call police to get help for her. And she didn't bolt after he called police. That's all bullshit. Never happened that way.
A little wobbly. And I realized that she had a problem and I wasn't going to be able to solve it. So I called 911 right away. As soon as I told her I called the police, they were on their way, she took off again.
So he triples down on the bullshit story. As soon as I told her I called police, she took off. That's not what happened on the 911 call. He never had time to call 911. He didn't call 911 until she had already left his house. That is a triple down on a lie.
That's the last anyone's ever seen her.
Yes.
Gus, what's your reaction? What do you think happened to these tapes that are supposedly missing?
And again, I want to reiterate this is going long, this video. I want to reiterate the problem with this. If he lied about it and Suffolk County Police has the 911 call, they know he lied about it. The story doesn't match. Did anyone give a shit in the police department that his story doesn't match what he's saying? She came into my house. I called 911. She kept saying, help me, help me. None of that is recorded in the 911 call. Did anybody think they had the call? It took forever for John Ray to get the copy of the call to prove that that didn't happen that way. But why, when they had it, they didn't say, Gus Coletti's account doesn't match what actually happened. Maybe we should go back and ask him about it.
They were wiped clean.
Well, who do you think wiped them clean and why?
I think Charlie Sirota did. And why? Because they were like 2 months old at the time.
So listen to this again. I just talked over it.
Yes.
Gus, what's your reaction? What do you think happened to these tapes that are supposedly missing?
They were wiped clean.
Tapes, they're asking. There should be tapes, recordings of Shannan Gilbert coming into that neighborhood and knocking on doors. They should see it on video cam. And he says, what happened to the tapes? I think they were wiped clean. No shit. Because why? Oh, well, enough time's gone by that the tapes have been erased. I think they were wiped clean. Nice.
Well, who do you think wiped them clean and why?
I think Charlie Sirota did. And why? Because they were like 2 months old at the time. Nobody had asked for them. We in the association down there didn't even know that a crime had been committed. Don't forget this.
This is important. He's claiming that the homeowners association didn't even know a crime was committed and therefore just erased the tapes. Why is that a problem? If the police were doing a proper investigation, why has people not been canvassed in the area to ask questions about what they saw and what they knew? How did they not know that something had happened and that a crime had been committed in the area? He didn't know. That's what he's saying. We didn't even know there was a crime committed.
It was May 1st that she was banging on my door, and it was August before the police showed up at my door.
So it was May when she knocked on the door. It's August before police ever come and talk to him.
Gus, the police commissioner said that he doesn't think that Shannan was killed by the same serial killer. You agree with that part?
Yep.
Why?
Because I think Sharon was chased, and I think she ran out on one of the jetties, and I think she lost her balance because the condition she was in, and she went in the water. If she went in the water and didn't know how to swim, it was only 2 minutes. And it was over.
It's just a...
I find it disturbing to me. I don't know. I find it disturbing to me that he's got a very detailed account of what he thinks happened to Sharon, as he said, and it's Shannan, but he gets her name wrong, that she was running from somebody, she went out onto the jetty, she fell into the water, and she drowned in 2 minutes. That's very specific for somebody who is just kind of guessing about what happened. But again, Shannan Gilbert has no indication of having been drowned. It actually shows that she was strangled. So it's an interesting scenario, especially since he says you're never going to find her body. She drowned. She's out in the bay. Sorry, you're not going to ever find her. But really, she was upland in the marsh.
Coincidence that she...
Yes, it was.
Craigslist, same area. All you believe in those coincidences?
Yep.
Okay.
Gus, the name Dr. Hackett comes up a lot out here.
Yes, he's one of my best friends.
Any thoughts to Dr. Charles Hackett? Yeah, he's one of my best friends. That is perhaps a bombshell. Because again, John Ray is indicating Hackett took her in, medicated her, sent her on her way, told Mary Gilbert, the mother of Shannan Gilbert, twice that he did so, and then later lied and said, I never saw her, don't know what you're talking about, that didn't happen. So these gentlemen, both who are both friends, both in the homeowners association, are lying about what happened with Shannan Gilbert that night. Both of them are lying. And we know they're lying. No question.
You believe in those coincidences?
Yep.
Okay.
Gus, the name Dr. Hackett comes up a lot out here.
Yes, he's one of my best friends.
So you don't think he's a possible...
Absolutely not. Let me ask you something. If you were a murderer and you killed somebody, would you dump them on your front lawn? Nobody from in here dumped anybody out there.
I find that so fucking weird. Listen, Shannan Gilbert is basically found, as John Ray will point out, kind of out the front yard, if you will, or out in the direction of of Charles Hackett's house, of his house, in his, you might say, in his yard. Which is interesting since Gus Coletti just said, you're not going to find Shannan Gilbert. She drowned down there in the opposite direction in the water. And then says, let me ask you this. If you committed murder, would you dump somebody in your front yard? Well, that's fucking weird, sir. You just told me she drowned. She fell into the jetty or whatever. She drowned in the opposite direction. she actually was found more like what you might call the front yard of Hackett. And you say, let me ask you this. If you were a killer, would you dump her in your front yard? Come on. Tell me you don't see some red flags. Maybe it's just me. All right.
I came up a little bit late. Just you
A lot
probably
late.
already said. Well, I was gonna wait until they were done, and then more and more people came, and I thought, I better just come.
That's
But
all right.
just one more. Just what do you think about that they're here again, searching today for clues?
Well, I think that they had to respond to the press and the pressure they were under to do something. You know, it's the 1 year anniversary is from when they found the first body. It's coming up on the 11th, so they had to do something. People were looking for answers.
So
I don't think we accomplished anything, but
you think it's good that they at least tried, or you just think it's a waste of time? It was just sort of like
I think it was a waste of time. Yes, I do.
And I would argue that I think it was a waste of time too. You just told them that she went the opposite direction in the water, and you're never going to find her in the marsh. But they did find her. So there's that. All right. We're really long on this video. I don't know that you guys are going to stay with such a long video. So let me try to get at this as quickly as possible. We're going to remove this from stage. We're going to add to stage. This is actually what we're going to do is we're going to show you. This is John Ray's filing, The Estate of Shannan Gilbert by Sherry Gilbert and Francis Nicotra, co-administrators or administrators and estate of Mary Gilbert and Sherry Gilbert. And so this is the actual filing of John Ray. This was from a firm on day 18 of November 2025. Very, very recent document. Basically, what this whole 18-page, 19-page document is a master class in explaining that, one, over and over and over again, what he's saying is you cannot simultaneously say, so basically it's this: I'm going after Charles Hackett for lying and impeding in the investigation of the death of Shannan Gilbert, and you are hiding material evidence that I need to go after Hackett, such as all the police reports, what really happened that night, what you guys knew happened, who you canvassed, all of that. I want all of your information. I want all your shit. And you're saying you can't have it because it's an ongoing investigation. You cannot simultaneously tell us and the press and everyone that it's an ongoing investigation while saying that she drowned or that it was an accident. It can't be an ongoing investigation if you've told us multiple times that she drowned and it was an accident. So let's break down some of John Ray's arguments. And again, then I want to read an affidavit from 48 Hours that says it's a lie. And then we'll end, hopefully, with a bit of the 911 call and maybe some areas that they took out. Again, this has gone much longer than I expected it to go. And so I will try to wrap this up for you, and hopefully we can trim some pieces out. All right. From the document, page 8 of 19. On January 23rd, 2012, Suffolk County Police Department homicide detective Vincent Stephan, who had been working on the Shannan Gilbert case, wrote a letter to Newsday for publication. This is John Ray's argument about basically why you're full of shit. So, Detective Vincent Stephan wrote a letter to Newsday for publication describing what Suffolk County Police Department said had happened to Shannan Gilbert on May 1st. Here's the quote. In the house at Oak Beach, Gilbert was not about to be murdered. Her demeanor on the 911 call was calm. You can hear male voices on the tape. They are calm. From what I heard on the call, Gilbert was not speaking as if she were in danger. So that's the end of his quote. She was not speaking as if she was in danger, according to the letter to Newsday. How many times did she say, are you trying to kill me? She's calling 911 in the first place to say, they're after me. Then she says, are you trying to kill me? Why are you going to kill me? Why are you going to take me out in the middle of nowhere? Why are you going to kill me? They say there's nothing in there that says that she was in danger. Detective Stephan also wrote in the same letter, this is from 2012, talking about they've already declared this was an accident, Shannan Gilbert. No murder involved, no foul play, no nothing. It's just somebody who was on drugs and went and died in the marsh. At no time during this call was she desperate, he says. From what I heard on the 911 call, Shannan was not speaking as if she were in danger. In spite of this, she decided to run from the house and her driver. So she's not in danger, they said. There's nothing in the call that indicates she's in danger. How about the blood-curdling screams? How about the multiple times she tells people stop? There's a scuffle that we'll hear better, I think, if I play it for you, if we have time, on the actual 911 call, the long form, where there's a clear scuffle that they edited out because they want to make it sound like there was nothing going on. She was not in distress. Detective Steffen also wrote that Shannan was let into the house at Oak Beach resident Gus Coletti's house. When the gentleman in the house said that he was going to call police, she ran into the reeds across the street from his house. That is not true. That is not consistent with the 911 call. She did not come into the house and then he called police and then she took off. Neither did she run into the weeds. That's a problem. Listen. She ran to the gatehouse and down the street and knocked on another door. That's what Coletti said. But now he's saying, hey, she went to Gus Coletti's house. He called 911, and then she ran into the reeds across the street, into that marsh where they eventually find her. That is not what he freaking said. Not what he said. He said she ran down to the water. Everything about this is bullshit. Why is it taking so long? Why is it taking so long to get some damn truth out of the Suffolk County Police Department? He wrote as well. Finally, this is from the article, still in Newsweek that was published. Finally, she knocked on another door, but again ran away before the woman, Barbara Brenman, who lived there, could find out what was going on. Each of the aforesaid statements is demonstrably false. That's John Ray right there. He's like, that shit. Here's John Ray running him through the Universal Translator. That shit is bullshit. Each of those aforementioned statements are demonstrably false. Now that the 911 audio tapes have been released by the Suffolk County Police Department to the public, John Ray already knew about this. Remember, John Ray was given the 911 calls after years of fighting, but wasn't supposed to talk about it, wasn't supposed to go public, and then they finally made it public. So he's like now saying, now that you've gone public with that shit, I'm going to point out what I've known for a long time. The falsehoods are exposed. Why Suffolk County Police Department is maintaining these falsehoods and an entirely false narrative need to be considered and explained, at least insofar as former Suffolk County Police Surgeon Dr. Peter Hackett's behaviors on Oak Beach on May 1st, 2010, May 3 through May 3rd, 2010. It's funny because I kept saying Peter Hackett, and then I addressed it as it said Charles Hackett earlier. I thought it was Peter Hackett. I just got confused. Like on my own video, I'm confused. Is it Peter Hackett or Charles Hackett? Because it said Charles Hackett earlier. Now it says Peter Hackett. Peter Charles Hackett? Fuck. I always thought it was Peter Hackett. Now I'm going to is my whole video ruined because I said Charles Hackett at the beginning? It actually said Charles Hackett earlier. Plaintiff has a clear recording. The plaintiff, John Ray, is what he's saying. The plaintiff, that's John Ray, or in the estate of Shannan Gilbert, has a clear recording of the Shannan Gilbert's 911 call, which has been transcribed by experienced certified court reporter Lorraine Berardi, and transcripts is attached as Exhibit 1. So he's got the transcript of the 911 call and is not consistent with what they're saying has happened in that letter. Here are Suffolk County Police Department statements via its homicide detective's letter contrasted with the actual audio call. And then he's got a whole breakdown of the actual transcript versus what they showed on TV. We don't have to break into that right now. This is the point now. Again, and look at this. They're going to kill me. They're going to kill me. Screaming is heard. That's part of the transcripts. It is requested that the court listen to the aforesaid words on the audio tape. The audio tape has been filed with the court as Exhibit 2 in a flash drive. We have that exhibit, which we can play or post on the website, with a notice of hard copy exhibit filings. Therein, the court will also hear the tenor of Shannan Gilbert's voice, which is not calm. John Ray is saying, if you listen to the full 911 call, which I'm attaching it as an exhibit to this, you will see Shannan Gilbert is not calm. She is screaming on the thing. She is not calm, as they say. They've clipped out the calm areas to make it look like nothing was going on. Moreover, John Ray continues, some of the male voices are clearly not calm as a struggle takes place with Shannan. Suffolk County Police Department, via Steffen, said, you can hear male voices on the tape and they're calm, see above. Nor is there any evidence that Shannan ran away from Bremen's door. She was only no longer there when Bremen looked for her after Bremen spoke to 911. So he's saying what you can hear on the 911 calls is not consistent with what they're saying happened. What they released to the public, it's not consistent with that. Shannan Gilbert was undoubtedly almost never calm. She was clearly expressing that she was in mortal danger. That's true. Again, you may say, "Oh, hey, there's somebody after me." I think that sounds calm. But the words that she's saying is, "There's somebody after me. They're trying to kill me. They want to take me out in the middle of nowhere. I've been set up by these people. Why are you trying to kill me? Why are you saying my name?" That's repeatedly stated. So she clearly expressed she was in mortal danger. She repeatedly expressed fears that she was about to be murdered. She repeatedly expressed her heightened fear and desperation, and her blood-curdling, prolonged scream can only be described as the ultimate expression of desperation. Suffolk County Police Department's representation to the public via Detective Stephan is palpably, repeatedly false. Such falsehoods pervade as to the entire event audio recorded. Note, the Suffolk County Police Department's letter via Detective Stephan posits that Shannan was not speaking as if she were in danger. In spite of this, she decided to run from the house and her driver. These falsehoods serve as a building block used by Suffolk County Police Department to construct Suffolk County's Police Department's fantastical story as to the cause and manner of Shannan Gilbert's death, that she was confused, possibly on drugs, acting irrationally, such that she recklessly ran into the Oak Beach marsh and therein removed her footwear and jeans and traveled through the reeds, brambles, and muck, where approximately 1/3 of a mile there to die and by drowning, later revised by the forces of nature, revised again to an unfortunate unknown accident. Listen, he's even saying they keep changing the cause of death to Shannan. First they said it was a drowning, then they revised it and said it was a force of nature, and then they revised it again and said it was an unfortunate unknown accident. They keep revising her thing, and yet what they don't want to say is it could have been murder. It's anything but murder, according to Suffolk County. The mendacious letter also claimed that Shannan Gilbert was let into the house of Oak Beach resident Gus Coletti, whereupon, when the gentleman in the house said that he was going to call police, she ran into the reeds. Yet, in the few seconds constituting the entire time of Shannan Gilbert's encounter with Coletti, as captured on the 911 call, there was no letting of Shannan Gilbert into Coletti's house, no indication whatsoever that Coletti said he was going to call the police, whereupon she ran, no indication that Coletti invited Shannan into his house, no indication that Coletti made or began to make any call to the police or to anyone, nor that she ran into the reeds. Only after Shannan Gilbert had already left Coletti's property did Coletti finally call 911 fully 8 minutes later. He lied. Why? And John Ray's laying it out. If they're lying about what happened that night, then why are you continuing to say this was just an accident? People are lying. It needs to be investigated. I need to get all of your effing police files and look at it myself. That's what he's saying. Coletti's ultimate call to 911 establishes this. See Exhibit 3, the statement of Suffolk County Police Department Detective Lieutenant Byer. Suffolk County Police Department's false narrative would support its fantastical story of Shannan Gilbert's purported irrational behavior and proposed inclination to run into a virtually impenetrable marsh, but the audio recordings directly contradict Suffolk County's story in every detail. To date, Suffolk County has never retracted or repudiated Dr. Stephan's mendacious letter to the public. They've never said that the letter was wrong. They still are sticking to the story. To be sure, the actual audio recording of Coletti's encounter establishes that Shannan expressed that she recognized Coletti or someone present with Coletti as soon as Coletti answered the door. Upon that recognition, Shannan expressed that the need to flee from him or them, and Coletti thereupon made what would be a snide comment to her in a harsh tone, which could also possibly be construed as a veiled threat. He says, "What's the matter? Somebody after you, huh?" Shannan Gilbert, it's you. Male voice, "Are you all right? I knew it's you. I need to go." And "Don't get yourself hurt," he says. Where are you going?" She pants. She's breathing. "Wait a minute. Where are you going?" Pants, breathing. Right? Listen. It may not have sounded that way to you, but when you read it that way, look at how different it comes across. She comes to him. She recognizes Coletti or somebody who's with Coletti and panics. "It's you." And he's like, "Oh, what's the matter?" Are you on the run? Something all right? Where are you going to go? It's like he's mocking her. And that's the allegation that John Ray's making. It's almost as if she never came into the house. She immediately recognized Coletti or somebody who was with Coletti and panicked. Oh, it's you. So that changes everything. It is clear that Shannan Gilbert did not act irrationally in fleeing from someone, neither Brewer nor Pack. She encountered at Coletti's house when Coletti answered the door she knocked upon. It is also clear that Shannan Gilbert believed that she recognized a third person in Oak Beach, a place which she purportedly visited for the first time, according to the detective that talked at the very beginning of the video, and had never been there before. A place where, according to Suffolk County Police Department's narrative, already established as false, Shannan was only ever in the company of two men, Pack and Brewer. And so he asked, was Hackett there or someone else? According to several eyewitnesses, several months before Shannan Gilbert's disappearance, Shannan was with Rex Heuermann at Sayville Motor Lodge and fled from him. So again, John Ray has an affidavit that Shannan Gilbert has already had run-ins with Rex Heuermann previously. He has an affidavit. She's had runs in Rex. Was Rex Heuermann there? Was Hackett there? Was someone else there? There's multiple male voices. It needs to be investigated. That's the bottom line. It needs to be investigated. It needs to be noted that Hackett and Coletti served together as officers on the Homeowners Association board for Oak Beach Association. They were close friends, according to Coletti's own interview, which we listened to. The Suffolk County Police Department held a press conference on 5/13/22 to address the imminent release to the public of the 911 audio tapes. That's what we watched at the beginning, was that press conference where they released the audio tapes to the public. In it, Detective Lieutenant Kevin Byer, Suffolk County Police Department's homicide detective in charge of the investigation, and Suffolk County Police Department's Commissioner Rodney Harrison, that's the person who started, were the presenters. We watched some of that video. The press conference video can be viewed at gilgonews.com website and is filed as Exhibit 6 in this document with the court as videotape with notice of a hard copy of exhibit. Upon a large screen behind the presenters, they flashed photos purportedly related to the 911 call. Superimposed upon the photos, the Suffolk County Police Department had excerpts from the 911 audio call as those excerpts were being played for the audience. So that's all that we watched. We watched them playing with video footage and overlays of what was being said. That was what we watched earlier. John Ray's laying it out. Here's the problem. There appears to have been no reason given by Suffolk County Police Department as to why only excerpts of Shannan's 911 call were played for the press when the full tape was only 23 minutes long. In other words, John Ray said, they could have played the whole tape for you. Everyone and their dog wants to know what actually happened on the 911 call. It's only 23 minutes long. Why not play the whole fucking thing? Why do you have to chop it up and only show parts? John Ray has a theory. And it could have been played at the conference, he says. Up until then, the tape had not been played to the press. Suffolk County Police created a video to show to accompany excerpts as Detective Byer narrated while the purported words in the 911 tape were superimposed on the photos on screen. This process well appears to have been chosen by Suffolk County in order to support Suffolk County Police Department's aforesaid false narrative. But Suffolk County Police Department deliberately misrepresented that which was actually contained in the 911 tape and skewed other evidence as well, then prevented the press from raising issues. For example, the affirmation of 48 hours, Gregory McLaughlin, attached as Exhibit 7. So where's that going to tell you? The producer of 48 Hours was in the attendance as a member of the press at this particular press hearing. When they lied about the details that were going on and truncated the 911 call and then opened it up for questions, 48 Hours producer had I got questions because I know that's what you just showed isn't accurate. He asked a question, they ignored him, they shut down the press conference, moved on. That's part of the thing to the judge. Look, they're hiding shit. They don't want to answer questions to the press. They lied about what was on the tapes. They misled people into what was going on, told the public that they just made everything clear to you. This is what happened when it's bullshit. And they got an affidavit from the producer of 48 Hours saying why it's bullshit. And we're going to read that a little bit in this long ass recording. All right. Point 27. For example, notice that the extended desperate scream of Shannan, where can be also heard a male voice reacting to Shannan as she screamed, was eliminated. So again, There's another scream that they eliminated from the 911 call that they showed to the press. Notably, the scream was not an excerpt played by the Suffolk County Police Department. So in other words, there's screams that they held out of the press release. He knows about it. He's got the full 911 call. It's part of the attachment. We can listen to the full 911 call. Yet, Suffolk County Police Department Commissioner Harrison announced at the press conference that the purpose of the video is to help the public understand the circumstances surrounding the call and where Shannan was within the community at each significant moment. So they want to come clear to the public about what happened while simultaneously hiding how much she was screaming and how much she was in danger. Moreover, Suffolk County Police Department Commissioner Harrison also told the press that they would view the path that we believe Shannan traveled, as well as visuals of her surrounding captured on similar a date and time from when she went missing. But Shannan could not have gone into the marsh and become lost in the darkness before she had knocked on the Oakbait resident Barbara Brennan's door and then left Brennan's door to proceed into the marsh, a distance of about 1/4 to 1/3 of a mile. So basically what he's saying is, Coletti said she went into the marsh, whereupon she apparently disappeared. And yet they also say that she went down to Brennan's house and knocked on that door and had a 911 call there and then went into the marsh. You can't have it both ways. Coletti didn't see her going into the marsh and also saw her go to Brennan's house and then go into the marsh. So there's problems. The Brenneman 911 call took place at 5:30 a.m. when Shannan was present at Brenneman's deck, as the Brenneman tape demonstrates. Thus, Shannan could not have entered the marsh earlier than about 5:35 a.m. So they're establishing, if she was down at Brenneman's house, and we know she was at 5:30 as demonstrated in the 911 call, she couldn't have entered the marsh until after that call around 5:35 a.m. This is where John Ray brings receipts about where the sun was. Sunrise that day took place at 5:52 a.m., which means the sun was already coming up. It was pre-dawn time. It says, solar calculators from May 1st, 2010, starting at the time of sunrise, pre-dawn twilight began 10 minutes earlier at 5:25. It was already starting to get light by the time 5:35 came along. It was not dark, pitch black, like they made it show on the videotape. It was already pre-dawn twilight, with dawn about to break in about 17 minutes when the Suffolk County Police claim Shannan Gilbert wandered into the marsh where she was found dead. In other words, the virtually impenetrable marsh was not in darkness at the time. Shannan Gilbert could have seen in front of herself from 5:33 a.m. or at worst 5:52 a.m. as she was going. If she did make such an entry, especially if she followed the open trench as Detective Bayer speculated. See 48 hours Gregory McLaughlin's affirmation attached as Exhibit 7, which demonstrates that the supposed darkness in the marsh was a camera trick and not reality. 48 Hours producer is going to go on record. They played tricks. The Suffolk County Police Department played tricks with the camera to make it look like it was dark at that time of night, at that time of day. It was not dark. As well, even in consideration of the fact that Shannan recognized a third person at Coletti's house, Coletti or someone with Coletti, and that she repeatedly said in the 911 call that they were trying to kill her, Suffolk County Police posited that there's no reason to believe at this time that anyone else is involved in this tragic series of events. She repeated 1,000,000 times that they were trying to kill me, and yet they don't think anyone else is involved in this crime. So that's a problem as well. Importantly, Suffolk County Police Department deliberately inserted into the screen superimposed 911 call where there were words for the press to read, a significant purported statement which Shannan never made. Listen, John Ray is saying they put words on the screen saying that Shannan said something she never said. During the encounter between Shannan and Coletti, Suffolk County printed words purportedly spoken by Shannan, "I need help." They put that on the screen during the 911 call with Coletti, which isn't actually heard. You don't hear her say that. It's not on the tape, but they put it on screen to make it sound like it supports Coletti's bullshit story that she came in asking for help and he called 911 to help her. But the indisputable fact is that Shannan never spoke those words, nor anything similar to them, as the 911 tape will confirm, and as the transcript thereof will also confirm. This gratuitous addition served the Suffolk County Police Department's purpose to claim that Shannan had acted irrationally, that she herself purportedly was asking for help, but when it was about to be given to her, she inexplicably ran away, an irrational act. So that's what they're trying to say. They're trying to say, hey, she's just crazy. She says she wants help, and then she runs when help is offered. That's not what happened. She appeared at his door and says, oh, it's you, and took off running because she recognized somebody. That's what John Ray is saying. What if that's what happened? She recognized somebody and said, oh my God, it's you, and took off running. And he's like, hey, she came asking for help, and crazy woman took off running as soon as I offered help and called police, which never happened. But the fact is, she never asked Coletti for help. She ran when she recognized someone, such a misrepresentation by Suffolk County surely gives the lie to Suffolk County Police Department's fantastical narrative. Gosh, this is a long video. Suffolk County Police Department's extraordinary attempts to discolor Shannan in her terrified behavior necessarily affects this case and the need for the plaintiff's attorney to have Suffolk County's Police Department's file as to the investigation of her disappearance. This is John Ray making his pitch to the judge. The fact that Suffolk County Police Department is lying about what happened that night, trying to discolor Shannan as a person who's just irrationally running around like a chicken with her head cut off, lying about stuff because she's just in a weird thing, not really under distress and not in danger, but just thinking that she is, and lying, the fact that they're lying about all of that because it's not consistent with the 911 call means I must, as the attorney of the estate, have access to their files. I need to double check their work. That's a legitimate request by an attorney in this case representing in a case against Dr. Hackett. Charles Hackett, Peter Hackett. Why the fuck is that a thing? Anyways. All right. So all of the circumstances as to her disappearance are relevant, not least because the case necessarily deals with Shannan's demise and all the circumstances thereof, including how defendant Hackett allegedly came to encounter Shannan and how Shannan ended up dead, not far beyond Hackett's house. Remember the guy said, well, if you're going to kill somebody, you're going to dump her in your front lawn of your house? Shannan was found not far behind Hackett's house. Now, not front lawn, that would be a back lawn if it's behind his house. Point being, it's an interesting statement. If you're going to kill someone, you're going to dump her right outside your house. That's where she was essentially found. All right, so she ended up not far from Hackett's house. Her jeans, wallet, and phone, and pocketbook and shoes right behind Hackett's home. Listen, her clothes are found. Her clothes, which they say she stripped off in some kind of weird delusional state, like because she had hypothermia and she thought she was hot, and so she stripped that out of all her clothes. That's what they're trying to allege. She must have got hypothermia. She thought she was hot. She stripped off her clothes. Her clothes are found behind Peter Hackett's house. Her body is found not far from Peter Hackett's house. Her mother was brought later on to the top of Peter Hackett's house to say that's where your daughter's body was found. And yet they will say Hackett has nothing to do with this case. These require, the attorney's making the point, these require my full knowledge of the circumstances including via Suffolk County Police Department's file. It's a reasonable ask. John Ray is asking, as the attorney of the state looking into what actually happened to Shannan Gilbert, I have a right to question the circumstances if her fucking clothes are going to be found right behind Hackett's house and her body's going to be found out in the marsh by his house, and people are lying who are the best friend of Hackett saying, yeah, I don't think you're going to find her. You're never going to find the body. I'm best friends with Hackett. All of that shit should raise to the level of we need to get into the details. To be sure, Detective Lieutenant Byer also falsely related to the press at the conference that Shannan interacts with Coletti. He invites her into his home. That's what he said. That's not true. We know from the 911 call that's not true. He did not invite her into the home, nor did he call 911 when she was there. Coletti never invited Shannan into his home. The 911 tape establishes that such an invitation did not occur in the few seconds of Shannan's brief encounter with Coletti. It appears that Detective Lieutenant Byer added this non-fact in order to establish that Shannan, who was knocking on doors in order to solicit help, irrationally bolted away when the safety of Coletti's home was offered to her. No such offer of safety was ever made, as the tape establishes. So again, he's just pointing out they are lying to paint a narrative that she was irrational that night, and nothing is matching up with the 911 call. Why? I want the police department's files. The county does not offer any basis for his proposition that Shannan Gilbert's case is inextricably linked to other open Suffolk County Police Department criminal investigations. That's one of the reasons why they're blocking John Ray from getting the information. Hey, I'm sorry, but her accidental death, mysterious circumstances is related to other criminal investigations. But he argues, in fact, Suffolk County District Attorney Ray Tierney recently announced that Gilbert's case is not connected to other homicide cases. And the quote is, the Shannan Gilbert case is not part of this case. The Shannan Gilbert case is not part of this case. And so we're going to leave it at that. Shannan Gilbert is not part of the Rex Heuermann case. They're leaving it at that. She's not part of an open investigation into Dick. All right. We're almost going to wrap up. And what I'm going to do, I think, because this is so long, I'm going to read the affidavit from this because it has some good shit in it. We're going to be almost 2 hours long. And then I'm going to decide whether to attach the 911 call and just let you listen to it its entirety without my commentary. That's what I think I'm going to do, or provide it on the website. It's a super long video. I don't usually do videos this long. I know some people do videos that are freaking 7 hours long. So I guess I'm just going to let it go. Longest video I've ever done for the record book. All right. Point 33. Suffolk County Police Department's Detective Lieutenant Byer made it quite candescent at Suffolk County Police Department's aforesaid press conference that Suffolk County Police Department considered Shannan Gilbert's death to have come about because she had experienced a tragic accident. Her death was likely non-criminal, he said. He began the press conference by stating that based on the evidence and the facts and the totality of circumstances, the prevailing opinion in Shannan's death, while tragic, was not a murder and was most likely non-criminal. That's a transcript from the actual conference, the video that I was starting to show you. You didn't watch its entirety, but that's what they said. It's a tragic accident. It's non-criminal. There's no crime here and it's just, and we're going to play you the tapes to show you there's no crime here. Based on the evidence and the facts and the totality of the circumstances, the prevailing opinion is that Shannan's death, while tragic, was not murder and is most likely an accident. We are of the opinion that this was an unfortunate accident. That was stated over and over again in the press conference. I literally, that's how it's written. I think our opinion is that this was an accident. Our opinion is it was an accident. John Ray's quoting how many times they said accident, accident, accident. And then he's going to summarize, if it's an accident, you can't say it's an ongoing investigation. This is how he wraps that up. Suffolk County Police Detective Commissioner Rodney Harrison expelled any doubt as to the Suffolk County Police Department's conclusion that Shannan died via a tragic incident by saying, listen, I'm going to simplify everything right now. It's a horrible accident. It's a tragic. We believe it's a tragic accident. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. This concludes our press conference. Thank you. That's it. Accident, accident, accident. There's no murder. We've shown you the proof. There was no distress. Shannan Gilbert wasn't in danger. Nobody was trying to hurt her. You guys all can go home now. And then there's questions. But guess what? They don't answer questions. The Suffolk County Police Department officials have themselves dispositively established that Suffolk County Police Department considers that Shannan Gilbert's case is civil and not criminal in nature. Consequently, I'm entitled, as her attorney, as the attorney of the state, to the Suffolk County Police Department's files. He's saying, look, you keep telling me it's an accident, it's civil, it's not criminal. So if it's not a criminal, you cannot tell me it's a criminal investigation, an open criminal investigation, and then say it was a civil nature, not criminal. Like everything, you're talking out both sides of your ass. I'll say the things that he didn't say. So then he concludes with this. The press was cut off at the conference. See the statement by, again, Gregory McLaughlin in Exhibit 7. We're going to read that in brief. No explanation of any kind has ever been given by Suffolk County Police Department since the conference of the nature of the accident and how the accident killed Shannan Gilbert. So they've never explained how this accident happened or what her cause of death actually is. Suffolk County Police Department homicide detectives are unquestionably trained in the gathering and use of evidence to support a conclusion as to the cause and manner of death, where the standard of evidence needed to be to convict is beyond a reasonable doubt. They know the value of evidence, not conjecture, yet Suffolk County Police Department's homicide detectives here have utterly disregarded their skills, training, and technique and methods, and indeed their own medical examiner's conclusion that the manner and cause of death was undetermined, by concluding that an unknown event had occurred which killed Shannan Gilbert in an unknown way, but was somehow certainly not caused by a deliberate act. So they're saying, we don't know how she was killed. It was indeterminate, but what we do know is she wasn't murdered. That's what they're trying to say. We have no idea how she was killed or how she died, but we're certain it's not murder. Okay. This entire investigation is awry from its inception. I have to agree, John Ray, go get him. All right. And wow, this is a long document, longest recording ever. Thus, a sex worker under indictment takes the highly unusual step for a sex worker of calling 911. This cannot be overstated, and I realize it's coming super late. The fact that she's a sex worker doing illegal trade, and yet she calls 911 for help. Think about this. Why do you call 911 for help and then run from the police when they come to help? Well, they're going to argue because she's acting irrationally. She's asking 911 for help, and then she doesn't want police help. Or is it something else? She's running from home to home, trying to get away from her killers, and she runs into more people who might be out to kill her. And then she ends up dead, is essentially what happened. It may not be anything about her not wanting police to show up. She doesn't want to keep being chased by the people who are trying to kill her, and then she ends up dead. All right. So, again, the sex worker under indictment takes highly unusual step of calling 911 for Oak Beach, terrified and repeating that someone's after me and that they're going to kill me, and thereupon concludes that the driver Pack is part of those who have set up the killing, runs away with her cell phone on and emits a blood-curdling scream outside where a scuffle can be heard, runs again, knocking on doors, lit homes until she's confronted at the door by a third person she appears to know. She also runs away and is so terrified that she tries to enter Oak Beach residents' home in desperation and then vanishes. And this sex worker is then found dead, just as she herself had predicted, in a marsh, stripped of her jeans, pocketbook, and shoes. She's found dead in a marsh along Ocean Parkway, where along that parkway, a veritable graveyard of other murdered sex workers also appears to fit her size, age, and weight, and 2 other people who are found dead and murdered. So again, John Ray's indicating, boy, she fits the MO of the Long Island serial killer and all the other bodies. She's small, petite, young, she's a sex worker, just like all the other bodies found. And you're going to tell me that there's no possible connection to the sex work, the Long Island serial killer who's killing sex workers and dumping their bodies just like her? She fits every part of the MO of the others, and you're saying that there's no possible connection? And then it goes on to say this. A renowned medical examiner, Michael Baden, that's, again, John Ray had Michael Baden come in and do an autopsy. A renowned medical examiner, Michael Baden, examined Shannan's bones and concluded that her death is consistent with homicide by strangulation and inconsistent with a death by natural causes. Baden, a world-renowned medical examiner, said not only is there evidence of homicide that she was strangled and the neck bones were broken, but there's no indication also that it was some accidental death. Everything is consistent with murder, according to a world-renowned medical examiner. 2 days after she disappears, the former Suffolk County police surgeon living in Oak Beach by the marsh where she's found, Dr. Peter Hackett, again, Peter Hackett, Charles Hackett, I gotta get that straightened out before we leave, calls Ellenville, New York police, where she grew up, to learn what they knew of Shannan, and calls her mother and the Jersey City police to announce that he runs a home for wayward girls and asks questions to determine their knowledge of Shannan's whereabouts. Listen. 2 days after Shannan disappears, the former Suffolk County police surgeon, that's what Hackett was. He's related to Suffolk County Police Department. No wonder, one might say, Suffolk County Police Department doesn't want to look into Hackett, because he's a former Suffolk County Police Department surgeon living in Oak Beach by the marsh where she's found. Dr. Peter Hackett calls the Ellenville, New York police, where she grew up, to learn. So Peter Hackett calls the New York police in Ellenville, where she grew up, to learn what they knew of Shannan. Why is he wanting to know what they know of Shannan? Is he concerned? He calls her mother, Mary Gilbert, and the New Jersey City Police to announce that he runs a home for wayward girls. He asks questions to determine their knowledge of Shannan's whereabouts. Tellingly, he never called the Suffolk County Police Department. He tells her mother, Hackett told Mary Gilbert, that Shannan had been in his home on that day. He medicated her and she left. He called Mary Gilbert again to learn what she knew of Shannan's whereabouts. He's calling, asking what she knows about Shannan. Have you found Shannan? Do you know where Shannan's at? Where do you think Shannan's at? He's calling the mother and pestering her and saying, hey, by the way, and he lied twice on national television, claiming that he never made those calls. Then when he was confronted with the telephone records showing he called, listen, Hackett lied and said, I never called that mother and told her that I treated her daughter. And then they're like, yeah, here's the phone call records. Oh, he admits then and lies, but that he lied. He admits that he lied, but denies that he ever told Shannan's mother any such things that she claimed. So what he said was, I never called her. Oh, here's the phone records. Okay, I did call her, but I didn't tell her what she said. Well, you're already a liar. You're already a liar on multiple counts. So now you're saying, oh, I never called that woman. I don't know what you're talking about. Here's the phone record. Okay, well, I did call her, but I didn't say that. I'm not a liar. I think you kind of are. Anyways. So Suffolk County Police Department then concludes that Shannan Gilbert's 911 call was unreliable, but the word of a convicted felon, human trafficker, Michael Pack, and the word of a serial sex worker, John or Joseph Brewer. So in other words, they're deemed by Suffolk County Police Department to be reliable. So again, Shannan Gilbert is not considered reliable, but the word of a convicted felon and trafficker, Michael Pack, her driver, and the serial sex John, who was hiring her to come out there, Joseph Brewer, they're considered completely reliable. Dr. Hackett's conduct and words, Suffolk County Police Department disregards. They disregard Dr. Hackett's conduct and words. Oak Beach Association, their security camera footage was erased by Hackett's actions or inaction. Hackett himself, John Ray is saying, is part of the reason why the tapes showing Shannan Gilbert there have been erased, because he's part of the homeowners association and the tapes were erased. He's directly involved with the tapes not being around that show what happened that night. Why the hell does he have to explain this to a judge? But he's going to, and he did a great job. Meanwhile, the Gilgo Beach, Oak Beach criminal investigation is conducted by Suffolk County Police Chief James Burke, who was has a predilection for unlawful congress with sex workers. Yes, the chief of police, James Burke of Suffolk County at the time, had a predilection for using sex workers himself. One whom he impregnates, and another who he appears to have run a prostitution ring out of his home with. He eventually is jailed due to beating a drug addict who stole his collection of sex toys and sex perverse discs or tapes. And upon prison release, the chief of police went to jail for beating somebody for stealing stuff out of his car and threatening to kill the guy. He's also been caught using sex workers as a chief of police and all these things. And then after he goes to prison for a while, and that's a real thing. I can't believe this case is so nuts. Upon release from prison, that former police chief solicited an undercover law enforcement officer to allow Burke to perform oral sex upon the officer, and he was arrested again. When he was chief of police, he virtually shut down the Oak Beach, Gilgo Beach investigation, driving away from it the FBI and other investigating police departments, as confirmed by a former Suffolk County Police Commissioner, Geraldine Hart, on national television. Yes, Police Chief Burke had a predilection for using prostitutes, sex workers himself, had the attitude of who gives a shit about a messing sex worker? They're just prostitutes. Nobody gives a shit. Had sex tapes and weird shit in his thing, and then went to jail for beating a prisoner under his employ and threatening to kill him. And then when he gets out, solicits another sex worker and gets arrested again. That shit's the guy who's in charge of the investigation. And oh, by the way, he dismantled the FBI task force looking into the Long Island serial killer. I wonder why. Well, you don't have to wonder too far when you start seeing the allegations that James Burke and Rex Heuermann knew each other. You don't have to look too far to find out why they dismantled this case is monumental. I hope that you paid attention, because it's just the craziest case ever. And I'm going to have to do shorter versions because no one's going to stay with me for 2.5 hours to listen to my rant. Burke was a companion. Listen to this. Burke, the chief of police, was a companion of Dr. Hackett. The police commissioner, it was a friend of Dr. Hackett, who they're just not going to ask questions about what happened that night with Shannan Gilbert. Withal, Suffolk County Police Department announced a false story of Shannan Gilbert's disappearance, altered the records as to Shannan Gilbert's 911 call to suit their narrative. That all of the above notwithstanding, Shannan Gilbert somehow falsely insisted that she was about to be murdered, was irrational, in a flight, managed to get through virtually an impenetrable wall of vegetation into an awful marsh, there to be there to disrobe her jeans, discard her shoes, self-fulfill her own prophecy of death by some unknown means, and her body laying face up, head on a bush, quietly undisturbed for 1.5 years, not buried, not seen by infrared helicopter search or any swamp visitors. What he's saying is this story stinks to high heaven. Hackett's related to the police department. They know who he is. The woman, literally, her clothes, Shannan Gilbert's clothes was found behind his house, her body found behind his house in the marsh, and none of the story makes any sense whatsoever. The aforesaid summary of circumstances, it is respectfully submitted, militates against the continued concealment of Suffolk County Police Department's records as to Shannan Gilbert. In other words, cough that shit up. There's no reason for you to hide these documents because in light of everything we know, the story is false, you're lying, and it needs to be looked into. There is demonstrated in this case a miasma of reasons and poor motives for Suffolk County Police Department to resist giving up its file to me, weighted against the failure of Suffolk County Police Department to articulate a basis to resist the subpoena. Suffolk County Police Department's aforementioned behavior fairly reeks of things which ought to be relevant and made known as to the circumstances of Shannan's death, a key issue in this case. Release of the Suffolk County Police Department's files is warranted. All right, so a lot of shit was said there. Let's grab one last document and then I'll play the 911 and we'll get out. And again, I apologize. I never expected this to go as long as it did. This is Exhibit 7. This is the producer of 48 Hours giving a statement, and listen to what he says because it also is very, very interesting. I'm a resident of Bayside, New York, over age 18. For 37 years, I was the editor and producer for 48 Hours, a CBS TV show. I have investigated and filmed hundreds of homicides all over the United States in conjunction with Aaron Moriarty, 48 Hours well-known investigative TV personality. In May of 2012, I was part of, is that 2012 or yeah, I was part of the investigative team for 48 Hours investigating the Shannan Gilbert case. In that capacity, I went to the Oak Beach Marsh the first week of May of 2012 with a CBS camera crew to film John Ray's entrance into and traverse of the marsh, where he attempted to follow the route that Shannan Gilbert supposedly walked, according to the Suffolk County Police Department, to the site allegedly where she died on or about May 1st, 2010. Thereby, he intended to learn the condition Shannan Gilbert would have experienced that morning to determine if she would actually have traversed the marsh and to have died there of natural causes, as the Suffolk County Police had claimed. Statement number 3. I followed John Ray and his female assistant, who was about Shannan's size, into the marsh with my cameras, filming them as we walked. It is notable that the marsh appeared to be impenetrable from the street and from the Oak Beach owner's property backyards, except there was a small area behind a home which had a sort of low cutout entrance to the marsh, although even that entrance was overgrown with thorn bushes and overgrowth. A reporter for the Daily News who was there pointed out this non-discernible entrance to the marsh, claiming that he learned from Suffolk County Police Department that Suffolk County Police believed that's the entranceway was about where Shannan Gilbert chose to enter the marsh. It appeared highly unlikely that Shannan would have been able to locate this restricted opening. There were no other apparent openings in the thick wall of reeds, brambles, or thorn bushes and growths tangled together, except later, listen, this is where it's crazy. So we didn't find any openings except for this one area. We don't think it's even possible for Shannan to got in there. There were no other apparent openings into the thick wall of reeds and brambles and thorn bushes and growths tangled together, except later. We located an opening where once there had been a platform or deck projecting into the marsh. There remained wooden posts still, and it was in the backyard of Dr. Hackett's home. It too was overgrown. OMFG. They literally found a place where you could enter the marsh where an old deck had been torn down on Dr. Hackett's. Is it Peter or Charles Hackett? Am I going to go nuts, or am I going to remember to do this before you finish? Dr. Hackett's home. It too was overgrown. We entered the marsh through one of these openings with difficulty. I followed John Ray with my camera rolling. The second CBS crew remained behind outside the marsh. We entered between 4:50 a.m. and 5:15 a.m. I am now aware that Shannan could not have entered the marsh earlier than 5:35 or 5:45 a.m. when twilight was in full swing. As John Ray pointed out, when in the marsh, there was clearly enough natural light at the time for Shannan to have navigated the Oak Beach houses adjoining the marsh to the south and navigate to the Ocean Parkway to the north. And it was overcast on our morning in the marsh, which would have dimmed the light, yet it was light still enough to see. As John Ray pointed out, a person could hear the tires of vehicles on the parkway, such that the person could know that the parkway and escape from marsh was nearby. Again, remember, the police tried to say she was lost in the marsh and had no idea where she was at, and couldn't tell where the road was at or where the water was at. She was just lost in the marsh. They're like, you can actually hear the cars going away on the parkway from the marsh. So the story that she didn't know which way the highway was or the road was is bullshit. But in its video presentation, Suffolk County Police Department described the morning as pitch black, making it easy to become disoriented and lost. That's what they showed on camera. It was shown in a little picture. The video that Suffolk County Police shot showed the marsh with tall reeds in the foreground and the sky is pitch black. I believe that shot was manipulated with artificial light to make the atmosphere and sky look so black. The tall reeds in the foreground were lit by an artificial light source, which rendered blackness all around the reeds. In other words, when you have the bushes in front of you lit up, it's going to make the sky look black. So it made it look like it was nighttime. It was not. This would render the manipulated photo to support Suffolk County Police Department's narrative that Shannan would readily have become lost in a panic in the marsh. It is disturbing that Suffolk County Police Department had a need to alter reality in support of a theory which did not seem to conform with the known facts. It is also quite odd to me that Suffolk County Police Department has never mentioned the possibility that Shannan was placed in the marsh to die or was already dead when she was placed there. This is coming from, again, the affidavit by a 48 Hours guy. He's investigated lots of murders, and he's like, lots of deaths. So how is it that they'd never even mentioned the possibility that Shannan could have been placed in the marsh to die or was already dead when she was put there or dumped there? I was present as a representative of 48 Hours at Suffolk County Police Department's May 13th, 22 press conference. That's the one we started to watch at SCCC. I was surprised that Suffolk County Police Department released to the press only excerpts of the 911 tape. Suffolk County Police Department ran subtitles of what Suffolk County Police Department said were the words being spoken on the 911 tape on screen, displaying in the background photos that they chose. The focus of the Suffolk County Police Department's presentation was that Shannan Gilbert's death was a terrible accident, most likely influenced by drugs or other health issues. Keynote presenters such as Detective Lieutenant Kevin Bayer and Suffolk County Police Commissioner Rodney Harrison agreed with one another that Shannan died because of a tragic accident. They never identified the accident, nor gave any evidence of an accident. This caused me concern, such that I prepared to question them when they took questions. So as a representative of the press, 48 Hours, who's investigated lots of murders, he's got problems with their story, so he's prepared to ask questions when they open up for questions. I was able to ask the Commissioner Harrison how much weight did he give to Shannan's statement that she was about to be killed, or was her statement wholesale ruled out? He did not address my question, and instead he simply proclaimed that it was a tragic accident, then cut off any further questioning and left the press conference with Detective Lieutenant Bayer. This precipitous reaction was unusual and unexpected and suppressed the press' usual ability to probe, especially where officials were taking a counterintuitive position. So what he's saying is, as a member of the press, the whole purpose of a press conference is for us to ask questions and get to the bottom of difficult questions. And what they did is I asked a difficult question and they walked off stage. I just told you it's an accident. We're walking off. All right, that's enough. I've gone a long time. I'm going to do one last thing before we leave, which is I'm going to ask my friend ChatGPT, and I understand that ChatGPT is not reliable for everything, but I'm going to say, in the case of Shannan Gilbert, Dr. Hackett appears to be referenced as both Charles Hackett and Peter Hackett. Which is the name, and can you explain? The Charles versus Peter Hackett confusion trips up a lot of people researching the Shannan Gilbert case, and here's the explanation. The doctor's full legal name is Charles Peter Hackett. Because he uses both names in different contexts, sources sometimes refer to him as Dr. Charles Hackett and sometimes as Dr. Peter Hackett or Dr. Charles P. Hackett. All of them refer to the same person, the retired physician who lived at Oaks Beach and placed a phone call. Wow. So I was right. All right, people, let me see if I can play the 911 audio for you, and I'm going to play you out for you to listen to it its entirety. I will not make comments on it because it's 23 minutes in its entirety. I'm already at 2 hours. This will make it a 2.5 hour long video. I can do commentary later on. I'm going to play you out. Let's go.
State Police, Trooper Fry. State Police.
Yeah, there's somebody after me.
I'm sorry?
There's somebody after me.
Where are you?
There's somebody after me.
Okay, where are you?
There's somebody after me.
Where are you, ma'am?
I don't know.
You're driving right now?
No, I'm inside the house.
I'm sorry?
I'm inside the house.
What house?
I don't know. Can you trace where I am?
I'm sorry?
Can you trace where I am?
No, I can't. What's your callback number you're calling from?
Huh?
What phone number are you calling from?
Somebody's after me. Please.
Are you in Suffolk County or Nassau County?
I'm in Long Island.
Where on Long Island are you?
No. 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 No, stop, no.
Where in Long Island are you? In Suffolk County? Nassau County?
Huh? Why? Why you call me by my name? Why?
County, you on the line?
Stop. Please. Stop it, please. Please stop. Please. Can you shut the door?
No, time to go.
Please. Please. Please.
Go that way, please. Come on, let's go. Come on, roll that side. Come on, go outside. Come on, all of us. Come on, roll that side. Come on.
No, please.
Come on. Come on. Please, come on.
Please.
Come on.
Why? Why?
County, are you on the line?
Hurry up, I want to show you something.
Why?
I want to show you this. Please come on. Please.
Why? Why are you guys doing this to me?
What?
Doing this.
What county are you in, ma'am?
Doing this. Why are you calling me by my name? Please.
Please give it to me.
No, please.
Give me here.
No.
Please.
No, stop it, please. Stop it, please. Please stop it.
No.
Please stop it. No, stop it. Please stop it. No.
Let me fix that. Please.
Please stop it. No, please stop it, please. Please stop it, please. No, what are you going to do to me? What are you going to do to me? Stop it.
Please, get him out of here. What do you want?
No.
I'm going upstairs. You leave. I'm going to stay upstairs. Look, I'm going to go upstairs. You leave. I'm going to go upstairs. Okay? You leave. Please. Please. Get there. My hold. What's the matter? Are you okay?
What are you going to do? What are you going to do to me? Why?
Huh? Well, I don't know, but it was transferred to me.
Why?
No.
Are you going to tell me?
It came into, I think it's Suffolk County and the transferred to Suffolk County and
Why are you going to...
Call Suffolk County.
You freaking miracle. Come on.
I'm in the middle of nowhere?
Let's go back to Manhattan. Right? We're in Long Island. We're out near the water.
Please, stop.
Me, Mike. Brother, come on.
No, stop it, please.
Oh, okay, fine.
Please take my time to what, you guys?
You're on the way near the water. And
You guys?
saying, let's go.
I didn't do anything.
631. 511.
Why? Mike, can you close that?
Some guy named Mike here.
Mike, why? 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 Why, Mike? For fun? For me? I'm never gonna enjoy it again. Why? I never do. I never did. Mike, please. Mike, please. Please. Please.
There's something I don't know what phone she's calling from, but I transferred her back. Can you trace where she's coming from? She needs help.
You're like, I'm going to find my way home.
It sounds like she was in the house with the female. And the female was the initial caller.
So this is all set up?
You set everything up? Remember, I waited for you. You told me you're going to find your way home, so I was like, what? You know, nothing that I called.
So this is all set up?
You never did this before. Well, you're joking with me, right?
Why?
I don't know. Why are you doing that?
Alright, I'll say I was lying. I was lying.
You did?
Why?
It was a 631 number.
Why?
You can try talking to her, but she's not.
Please.
I think she's got the phone down.
Please. Hello?
Hello?
Please.
What's the matter? What happened? Hello?
Please, get me out of here, Mike.
Hello?
You're being sarcastic about this. You were part of this all along.
I just met him just now. I called you after. I called this number.
Mike, please. I'm begging you now. I just want to go home. Why?
Well, we can give them...
What's the phone?
573-9308.
Is that us?
What's going on?
I think so.
What? Yeah.
The extension answering. That's the number it came in.
Why are you sitting there knocking about this house then? Something's gonna happen to me.
There's nobody outside.
Yeah, you could call it.
You're okay, right?
But we're not going to know where it is. County should call it.
Right. No, isn't that the county phone number?
Please.
Every time county 911 transfers something over.
Okay.
511 thing.
Get out of here. What's in the phone?
Oh, it does?
Yeah.
Not Suffolk? It's got to be Suffolk, right? Hello?
Stop it. Stop it, Mike.
Hello, where are you?
Huh?
Where are you?
What's going on there?
What's your name?
Where's the bathroom? I'll see you.
What's your name?
Shannan Gilbert.
What's your name?
Shannan Gilbert.
Where are you?
I'm by, I'm in Long Island.
And what's wrong?
Huh?
What happened?
These people are plotting to kill me.
Where are you? What's your address? What's your address?
My address.
What's your address?
No, Mike, stop, Mike, here. Mike, stop. Mike, stop, Mike. Mike, stop it.
Where are you?
Mike, stop it. Mike, stop it.
What's your name, Shannan?
Huh? Mike, stop. Come here.
Where are you? What's your address? Hello?
You want to be in front of police?
Yeah, hold on, and then I know you tell the truth. The address.
What are we going to tell them?
Tell them something. Mike, stop it. You guys are planning something. Mike.
Where are you?
Mike.
We're fine, then why don't we all...
Are you in the house?
Yeah. Mike, stop it.
What town are you in?
In Long Island. Mike, it's...
Where?
Stop, Mike.
Where in Long Island?
Stop it, Mike. Mike, stop it. Mike, stop it.
Where in Long Island are you?
I don't know.
Hello?
You're going to kill me.
Where in Long Island are you?
I don't know. You're going to kill me.
Are you in a house? Are you in a house?
Yeah.
Whose house is it?
I don't know.
Who is Mike? What's his last name?
He's funny.
Mike what?
He's funny. He's history too.
How old are you? What's his last name? What's his last name? What's his last name? Shannan. Shannan. Shannan? Shannan?
Yeah.
What town? What town are you in? Hello? What's Mike's last name? Hello?
You're going to kill me right now.
One of the guys said, let's go back to my town.
Where are you? Where are you, Shannon? Shannon. Shannon.
1034.
1034, 963, Gray, 47.
Shannon.
I put this number back in. Is that the number she's calling from?
I think that's her number. 9308 is one of our extensions, I think. Oh, did you call that one?
Shannon? Hello?
There's the shield on the car. 1955.
Shannon?
I wonder if she has a phone in her pocket.
Shannon. Shannon. Shannon.
What's the matter? Don't get yourself hurt. Where are you going? Wait a minute. Where are you going? Where are you going?
Something like Dopert, D-O-P-E-R-T. Hello? She didn't spell it, but that's what it sounded like.